One storyline that I think has been handled pretty well is our main man, the master on the dance floor, Zemo. You know, we see Zemo paying a visit to his family in Sokovia. We all kind of saw that shot from the trailer.
Get
So we kind of
over it.
we knew it was kind of coming, but we didn't know the context of it. But I thought this was one of the better scenes, definitely, of this episode. Seeing Zemo paying visit to his family, honoring his family, as Bucky has a moment, which I think is a really great moment for Bucky. And this ties back to his, which I think that therapist was terrible, but, tying back to his making amends and washing away, 70 years of being a Winter Soldier and going back to who he was as Bucky Barnes and having that conversation. I love Zemo saying, "I'm not going to kill you," which ties back to, I think you talked about it in your video yesterday, Paul, ties back to last week's conversation of like, should I kill Bucky or not? And Sam brings up, well, what about, he's obviously a good guy. So I love that they ultimately don't decide to kill each other. He puts the bullets in front of him, and the Dora Milaje comes to pick up this guy that took out their king, T'Chaka. So we get this moment here, and they say their goodbyes. He took the liberty to sketch his name out of the book, and we see Bucky tell Ayo to do me one more favor. But before we get to your thoughts, Amanda, is it me, or was it weird that they didn't take Zemo to Wakanda versus taking him to the Raft? I thought that was kind of weird. Like, why would you give them back to the government, essentially, and General Ross, because he controls that? I thought that was just kind of weird. But just your take on this moment between Zemo and Sam, and I think it's pretty on the nose that they're taking him there because the Thunderbolts, General Ross, all that fun stuff. But your take on this scene?
Yeah, I found that weird too. But like at the end of Black Panther, they did open up their like world to the rest of the rest of the countries, stuff like that. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, that they're kind of holding that as like a general like prison for everyone that's like high profile. I have no idea. But what I have to say is that freaking Sebastian Stan and Daniel Brühl have phenomenal chemistry, brilliant chemistry. And this scene alone shows that they were so great together, that it's just so well written, this episode. But also we see Bucky's sense of control, because he holds the gun out. Obviously there were no bullets, but we didn't know that until he kind of showed that on screen, right? But it's just his sense of control, because like he could have killed Zemo in 2 seconds, but he knows what Zemo means to Wakanda in this case, and it's entirely up, like it's their decision of what they want to do with him, basically, after what happened to King T'Chaka. So I think that showed a lot of Bucky and his sense of control, and then scratching out another name from his book. Like, it's just important steps for Bucky alone. But yeah, I love this scene. I thought it was so well done. And Zemo's coming back. He's not going anywhere. He's coming back. It's impossible that he's phenomenal. There's no way they're gonna waste Daniel Brühl. They haven't wasted him at all during this series, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's a lot of great points to bring up there, Amanda, which tossing it to you, Austin, regarding the next time we see Zemo, because to be honest with you, his arc kind of does end in this scene, because he literally, when Bucky pulls that trigger, before he does that, he like looks at Bucky and said, "You know what? It's my time." He kind of gives him a nod, like, "Take me out, man. This is the end of, I just pay respects to my family. It's now time to to visit them." So it'll be really interesting to see what Zemo's motivation is moving forward in the MCU. So kicking it to you, Austin, when we see him again, what's his motivation now, man?
Well, I can tell you, at first I thought they were taking him to Wakanda, and I said to myself, he's never getting out. You're not getting out of there. It's just not happening, right? The Raft? That is confirmation to me that we're going to see Zemo again, because you can escape the Raft, and why other to put him in the Raft than to get him out of the Raft, right? So motivation-wise, he hates super soldiers. He hates them. And he is not a big fan of superheroes in general. So to bring him back for something like a Thunderbolts, which is what I really hope they bring him back for, and to see full Zemo garb, and finally, I mean, we saw a little bit of what he can do with the action, but not as much as I would have wanted, right? They just gave us a little taste, a little tease to bring him back for something like that, whether it be leading a team or being a major part of a team. I go back to the animated Avengers series about 10 years ago. Zemo was a heavy part of that show. And that's the Zemo that I've always wanted to see from the comics. And we got the beginning of that in this series. So to see him have a bigger role in another show, think of something like an X-Force, or, these villainous not full-on villains, but some of which you can see a little good in. That's why I think John Walker could be a part of that as well. Again, going back to Madam Hydra, I think we're going to see his motivations play out a lot more in a future series.
I agree, man. And you're so right. We saw this, and this is so great that we saw Zemo on this show because it showed you the other side of again, he's the hero of his own story. He wanted to take out Super Soldier because of what, obviously his thoughts on that, but also he still has that kind of that feeling like you mentioned of superheroes with Sokovia. So as far as, see him again, the whole thing of who's taking over Sokovia, the rumors of Dr. Doom and his, being this monarch taking over Sokovia could be a way of him kind of being reuniting, or maybe someone taking out the Barons and things of that nature, his family legacy to fight for his legacy. So we'll see what they have up their sleeve. But Paul, man, not going to Wakanda, being in this cell, Thunderbolts, General Ross, bringing this team together, man. Is that where we can see Zemo next?
Definitely. Yeah. I think that General Ross, they made very clear that he oversees everything going on at the Raft.
Right.
So getting Zemo there, it's just... The Raft for me is almost like the Belle Reve of the Marvel universe. And I think they're going to handle it very much in the same way that the DC did with the Suicide Squad, which is General Ross is just going to get all these villains together. We know the Abomination's there. He's now got Zemo. It just makes perfect sense to have this basically as his headquarters. Send these criminals out on missions that the Avengers can't touch. I mean, General Ross doesn't really have the power over the Avengers anymore. Civil War, he kind of came in and was like, look, I'm going to be telling you what to do. And some of the team were like, right, we agree, we'll sign the accords. And the rest of them were like, no, I don't want to do that. So he's very much going to have to look at other strategies to carry out his missions. And we obviously know he's in Black Widow as well, as he was in the trailer. So I think people like Taskmaster, he's going to get him under his wing. The Abomination, Zemo, Yelena Belova potentially, unless she joins with the Madame Hydra. And you could very much have, the opposites of each other. You could have two teams even facing off against in one movie where Madame Hydra is the head of one side and Thaddeus Ross is the head of the others. And it just makes so much sense. As soon as they said the Raft, I was like, all right, okay, let's go. Boom, Thunderbolts. Get that website registered before Disney.
And honestly too, the way that sounds like a really interesting series to me, with Daniel Bruhl and like you just mentioned. I think after we see Abomination and She-Hulk getting Tim Roth in the mix and whoever's revealed to be the Taskmaster, so that could be. And we got Disney Plus. We have Star Wars doing it with their own Ranger show. We can have a Suicide, a Thunderbolt Ross type of show coming in 2023. So that sounds like a Disney Plus show I will be watching if that also comes out.
That's the thing with Disney Plus is that you can when Netflix,
so many possibilities.
When Disney Plus came out, it was like, oh well, Netflix, they won't have much competition. But Netflix drop a different show every single week. Now you can, if you imagine that you own Star Wars and all the Disney and all the Marvel characters, you can just drop a show every other week and just keep doing that, and people will keep watching it. It'll just dominate. So get a show out for everything.
Have our money. You have our wallets, Disney.
Literally.